All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new bootcamp series with JamPlay.com. Happy that you're here. First thing, grab your guitar because this is a really active course. We're going to have the guitar in your hands. Even if you're not necessarily able to follow the exercises that we're doing, I still want you to always have the guitar at hand and just play. This is the main focus here. We're going to work on technique. And although I'm using more of an overdriven sound, if you have your acoustic with you, you can still get something out of this course. So it's very hands-on. And this first part of the boot camp is going to be about alternate picking. And I also should mention that you are able to ask questions in the live chat if you're on JamPlay. If you don't see the live chat, it means you're not on JamPlay. So make sure that you log into your account and you're in the chat room. That's really where you're going to get the most of the course. I'll be taking some live questions. Also, I'll be able to see you if you guys desire to do so, to show your face to the world. That'd be great. I won't be alone in that situation. I'd love that. But for now, we're just going to get started. I want to just briefly talk a little bit about holding the pick. There's a lot of different ways to holding the pick. And I don't think there is one way, the best way to hold the pick. There's a best way for you. And so I really strongly encourage you to grab a few picks, a few different types of picks. I kind of like the thicker picks. These are kind of thick, and I found that works for me. But you know, if you want to use a thinner one, some players have been really successful with those standard picks that you find everywhere. There's a bunch of different picks, including this monster one here, which it's more of a novelty than anything else, but it's kind of cool. So as far as the pick goes, holding the pick, again, there's a lot of different approaches, but I will talk about what has worked for me. I've made a mistake personally for me when I started playing and I had my fist really closed, really locked in. And some players are okay with that, but that created problems. So if you're in that situation where you feel pain, real pain, that's when you should change your holding the pick. So what I'm doing, I'm holding the pick between my thumb and my index. My index is kind of curved a little bit like that. And you see the point of the finger, that's where the pointy part of the pick should kind of rest, kind of like an extension of that bone. And then you're kind of holding the pick here, locking it with your thumb. And it shouldn't be too tight. It should be tight enough so that you don't lose the pick during the exercises, but it should also be kind of loose because the idea is to really bounce on the strings. The strings are going to create resistance. You don't want to have too much resistance because it's too much, then you won't be able to play faster, which is a big part of this course too. We're not going to spend much time playing actually fast, but the speed will come. And the main difficulty, really, whenever you're playing something, is to play clean. And what I mean by that is when you're hitting a note, that note should really be the main sound that you're hearing. You don't want to hear other notes around. And this comes with our with a little demonstration here. I just want to show you the quote-unquote proper technique, the one I use, and it kind of goes against what a lot of teachers have in the past taught, and maybe you're in that situation. But what I found is that instead of having your fingers really straight against the neck, they're kind of flat, and a lot of teachers say that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have your fingers flat. But those teachers usually come from a classical background, and it's true on a classical guitar. You want to have your fingers straight on the fretboard. But with electric, if you are an electric player, I'd suggest having your fingers a little bit flatter. And here's why. Because this is an amplified instrument, anything you play is going to be amplified, obviously, including your mistakes. So if you are, accidentally touching a string, you hear that background noise, that creates clutter in your sound, and that's where you're not really playing clean. So we want to avoid that, and that's where the flatness comes into play. Because if my fingers are flat, the flat part of my index here, right below the index, I have some flesh that is touching the strings. And it's not putting pressure on the strings, but it's touching them, preventing those strings to just ring out. See, if it's right there, if I accidentally play a string that's below, that finger is doing its job of muting those strings. So that's for this part of the index right here. And there's another important part too. It's the right hand. The palm of the right hand is also always in contact with the strings that you're not playing. So obviously they're not going to be touching all the strings you're not playing, because then you'd have a hole in your hand if you're playing the third string. We don't have that. So we are going to kind of gently touch the thicker strings usually with the palm of our right hand. So two things to keep in mind. The palm of the right hand is kind of touching the lower strings. And when I say lower, I mean lower in tone, not lower towards the ground, but lower in tone. And the flesh here is kind of putting gentle pressure on the higher strings, so that the note you're playing is not cluttered with anything that is higher, because that's taking care of the index here, and not cluttered by anything that is lower. Like, for instance, if I'm playing the fourth string, my palm of the right hand is resting on the sixth and the fifth string. And that's why when I play, I'm kind of having my fingers a little bit flat. They're not really straight like that, they're kind of flat. So keep that in mind throughout the exercises. One last piece of information before we start with the exercises. There are three shapes that are really commonly found in all the different scales that we have. And you can download the PDF, of course, with all the exercises and the shapes too. I listed there. The three shapes are using three different notes, and we're going to try to stick to one finger per fret. So if I am playing the fifth fret of the second string here, that's going to be my index. If I play the sixth fret, that's going to be my middle hand. And it looks like we have a question, maybe? So I'll pause here.
Yeah, Dave, we actually have our first live question from
Awesome.
Slippin' Lizard. I'm going to bring him live in 1 second. Forgive us, folks. This is our first time doing the live thing.
Exciting. Congratulations for being the first one.
So, sorry, you probably just heard a little bit of distortion. I'm going to bring him live now. So we're going to see how this works. This is related to the question.
Awesome. Hi. Welcome.
Hey. Hi, David. Yeah, I just wondered what your thoughts were on allowing your thumb to come around onto the fretboard. Some people have it behind, and others let it come around.
Yeah, the great question, man. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. My thumb kind of goes in and out, basically. So I don't think it's a hindrance to having your thumb around the fretboard like that. It really depends what you're playing. If we're considering like some of these exercises that we'll see, they're more technical, a lot of alternated picking stuff. The thumb, I think the most comfortable is really behind the neck, just kind of resting behind there. But if you're playing more of a blues lick, then you wrap your thumb around. And I'm sure you're doing that naturally when you're playing. If you're playing more bends and stuff like that, as you know, it's easier to have your thumb wrapped around. I don't think it's... We had a little crash.
We're back up.
We're back up. Should I... Looks like we froze at some point. Should I take that question again? Re-answer it?
It's fine.
We're good?
Right at the end.
Okay, cool. Great. Good question. And guys, don't hesitate. As we're going through the course, if the question is relevant to what we're doing, I'll take the question live. If not, we will have a time together at the end of the session where we can go back and forth and answer other types of questions. So thank you very much. Back to the shapes. 3 shapes. And we're going to try to stick to one finger per fret here. And if you downloaded your PDF, you'll see those 3 shapes. And the first one is if we stick to the rule 1 finger per fret. So if I'm playing on the 5th fret of the second string, it'll be 5, 6, 7, 8. Index is on 5, middle is on 6, ring is on 7, and pinky on 8. The first shape is index, ring, pinky. 5, 7, 8. Or actually, in this case, it's 7, 9, 10, but it's the same fingering. So that's the first shape that we have. Index, ring, pinky. Don't worry about the frets. What's important is actually the fingers that are being used, because that shape can be found in many different areas of the fretboard. The second shape is kind of the reversed thing. Instead of having index, ring, pinky, we have index, middle, pinky. So very similar to the first shape. And then the last shape is kind of an extension where I'm playing 7, 9, 11. And for that, we have to break a little bit the rule that says one finger per fret, because we're missing a finger here. We're going to do index for 7. The ring is going to be on 9. And the pinky is going to do that extension to 11. So 3 different shapes that are going to use throughout the different sessions. These shapes you will find over and over in any scales that we're playing. If I play a major scale, for example, it uses all these shapes. It uses the index, ring, pinky. It also uses the index, middle, pinky, and the index, ring, pinky. It's not a shape you have to memorize. I just wanted to demonstrate that we're finding these shapes over and over on the fretboard. So that's for the tools that we're going to use. And as we're going at a slow tempo, try to keep in mind that you want your fingers kind of flat on the fretboard. If you find that your thumb is wrapped around, that's okay. But if it's too much wrapped around and you're playing like lower strings, then you might consider putting your thumb in the back right there. All right, we're going to get started with a super simple alternate picking exercise, and you really need your guitar. Even if you're not playing what I'm playing, I want you to be playing. I want this hour to be full of quality time on your instrument because you're developing a strong technique. This is a chromatic exercise, and you can download the tabs. Basically, your right hand is going to alternate pick everything. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's take a look at the logic of the sequence, and then we'll play it together on the metronome. We're going to start on the 10th fret, first string, with the pinky. And we're going to descend, so 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 8, 7. And every finger is involved. Down, up, and then we're gonna slide 1 fret lower on the 6th fret, and we're gonna ascend that 6, 7, 8, 9. So all together, and we're gonna loop that. And notice the right hand; it's always down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's the basis of the exercise. Once we're there, once we did that movement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do it the reverse way. So instead of starting on the 10th fret, we're going to start on the 6th fret, and we're going to ascend that. So 6, 7, 8, 9, and extension 1 fret higher, 10, 9, 8, 7. So 2 different directions here. The first one, and the other one is the exact reverse way. And again, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, we're going to add one element of complexity in a second, but first we're going to do this with a metronome. I'm going to set this at a very comfortable speed, maybe a little bit higher than this. This is 70 beats per minute, but I'm going to set this at, let's do 75. There you go. And if you look at the tabs, there are 4 notes per beat. So each time you hear a click, that's 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I was 16th triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's the exercise. So play along. Make sure you play along as we're doing this. We're going to take this a little bit faster, and you will notice that even if it's faster, it's not necessarily more complex. Sometimes when it's faster, it's actually easier to play in tempo. So we'll take this at 88 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So of course, at your own pace, you can do this, but the goal of this exercise is to start developing warmth, and that's a really important concept. I'll come back to it often. But as you're playing these exercises, you're really warming up your muscles. And once you recognize that warmth, and you really need to differentiate the warmth from pain. If there's pain, real pain, that means that you need to change your technique, and we can talk about that. I can take some questions if you feel some pain, but feeling warmth is okay. And I'm going to show you a variation to that, and then we'll play together again with that metronome. Once we play these two series of 4 notes, we're going to switch strings. We're going to go to the second string, and this time we will do the reverse direction. So we started with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to start on the second string with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, 7. And we're going to change strings each time. Okay, so we're going to try this. The backing tracks that are included, there's some different loops. You will see that they're very basic loops. This first loop that you can download here is basically a metronome with a drum beat to make it a little more interesting. And you'll find different tempos. We're going to start at a really comfortable tempo. We'll start at 70 beats per minute here. And we're going to try this exercise. So first we'll listen to the tempo, try to lock in the rhythm motifs, which is 4 notes per beat. So that's our tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to try this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Let's do that again. We're going to ascend now, creating a loop. If you're lost, just try to catch up. Even if you're not completely synced, still play with me. One more time. It's like having a little motor on your right hand. You're going to ascend that. You should start feeling that warmth that I talked about. Great. All right, we're going to, stop. Okay, we're going to try this again. We're going to increase the speed, but we have a question.
All right, before we get going here, BD Siegel, he asks, if I can't play that fast, how much speed should I look at increasing per session?
That's a great question. I would say between the time we finish this session and next week, try to aim for 5 beats per minute increments. At some point, you're going to find a real challenge increasing that 5 beats. And even if that's between today and the next session, just do 2 beats. But 5 beats, I think, is a good goal to have. That doesn't mean that you play the exercises today and then the next time it's 5 beats per minute. Do it in real short increments, 1 beat each time. But for next week, that leaves you 7 days. I think 5 beats per minute is a good goal. And again, you don't have to start at 70 beats per minute like I did today. If the loop that I have here is slower than or faster than what you can play, just start slower. That's really okay. don't get too caught up with that. Just try to keep track of your progress. And also, I really strongly recommend that you guys play at least 20 minutes a day.
All right, we do have one more question here, and then we'll get back here. This one's from Soda Pop. He asks, is the simple click better to practice to than a backing track?
Great question, too. No, it's not necessarily better. But if you're using a backing track, especially for these exercises, especially for this session, they're very digital exercises. They're not musical. So over a backing track, it's not really going to help your ear, be musical. They're very digital. But no, backing tracks are fine as long as they're well built, and as long as they're JamPlay backing tracks, which are quantized. So you're really having a metronome feel to the backing tracks. But no, that's totally fine. Good question. All right, so let's try this again. We are increasing the metronome a little bit. We're going to go to 75 beats per minute. And just for fun, let's try this starting on the 12th fret instead of the 10th. So here we go. Here's the click. This is our tempo and 4 beats per minute. Should have that kind of feel. And 12th fret, so here we go. Okay, great. Let's try the same thing on the 9th fret this time. Same tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So that's the first exercise, and you should start to feel some warmth. Hopefully this went okay, and if you have some difficulties, my guess is that it was probably changing strings. That's usually where people have problems. The reason why this particular exercise was built that way is that each attack, if you really do down, up, each start of a new string is going to start with a downstroke. And that makes it easier because you don't have to worry about changing direction. And also I want to talk a little bit, I'm spending a little more time talking in this first session. The next one's a lot of playing, but I want to really clarify things. Because we are attacking every string on a downstroke, that means that the pick, before attacking a string, needs to be in position. And I really want to talk a little bit about the angle of the pick. That's really going to make a huge difference in your playing. This might not be second nature at first, but it's really going to pay off. Basically, if I am playing something on the first string here, my pick, and I will switch to a colored pick. This is going to be easier here. Maybe not. No, actually it's not. Maybe white. Yeah, let's try that. So if I'm on the first string, playing notes on the first string here, down, up, I'm trying to minimize the movement because that's going to allow for better speed, right? Instead of, if I play really big, wide movements, there's more distance to cover. So when I'm just on the single string, alternate picking is great, and I want to minimize those movements. Okay? But if I'm changing directions, well, because I'm remaining in alternate picking mode, and because I said that each new string is starting with a downstroke, so down towards the ground, down, 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 that means that the previous attack is an upstroke, because we're doing down, up, down, up, down, up. So when I'm switching strings, let's say that I'm playing 4 notes here on the first string. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I started with a downstroke. So down, up, and then I want to switch strings. That last upward motion needs to kind of escape the zone where I was playing alternate picking here. It needs to kind of escape it so that it's ready to attack the second string. It's in position. It's going after that second string in position to hit it. That means that there's a downward motion here. Downward slanting is the technical term, where when I'm escaping that first string, I'm going a little bit above that second string to be ready to attack it. So the angle is, it's not necessarily just brushing the strings, but it's more like in this direction towards the guitar and outside of the guitar. If I really exaggerate, it's towards the guitar and outside of the guitar. I'm really exaggerating the movement, but if you play this, if you minimize that motion, it still remains where I'm playing towards the guitar and outside so that I'm ready to hit the next string on a downward motion. Okay, so that's what's happening. If I play that first exercise again, I'm exaggerating the movement, escaping the string. I'll do it again. So I'm playing towards the guitar, outside, so I'm ready to hit that second string. Okay, so think about that. We have a question.
Yeah, we do have a question here. I'm going to destroy this, but I Merkelbry asks, should I be focusing on the picking and not necessarily hitting every note?
I'm trying to... So thanks for the question. Hitting every note, you are hitting... So, okay, hitting the proper notes, I guess. I guess that's the question. I think you should really focus on both because it's all about synchronization. Although I'm trying to make sure that I answer correctly. Hitting the right notes as written in the tab, I'm guessing, probably. Okay. In that case, focus mostly on the picking. If you had to pick something, the picking and the synchronization rather than the actual right notes. It's all about rhythm, flow, and being comfortable with the actual technique here. But ideally, you want both, of course. But if you had to pick on something, pick the motion. Great. So let's move on to the next exercise. And now we're really going to...
Hey, Dave, before we move on, we did get a request for the next exercises. Can you break it down really slow a couple times more each time so it's a little easier for them to get it under their fingers before moving up in speed? Thank you.
Absolutely. Good one. Let's do that. The next one is really going to involve some of the shapes that we covered. So the 3 shapes, remember, the first shape, I call it first, but it doesn't have to be first. So don't expect other people to call it first shape. This is just for this particular session. But the first shape is, according to the PDF, index, ring, pinky. And it's going to involve that shape. It's also going to involve the second shape, which is index, middle, pinky. So we're going to alternate those. So hopefully you have your tabs in front of you. We're going to take a look at what's happening rhythmically. That's the line above. You'll see that there's a group of four different things here. Hopefully you can see that. We are on exercise 2, which is right here. You see the groups of 4s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and within each of these groups there are 6 notes. So that's going to be the basis of our tempo. And we're going to take a look at that first group of 6 notes, and we have 7, 9, 10. That's our first shape. 7, 9, 10, and 10, 9, 7. So 6 notes. I'm going to start with the down stroke. Down on 7, up on 9, down on 10. And then we're going to reverse that. Up on 10, down on 9, up on 7. That's our 6 notes. Let's look at the next group of 6 notes. Same exact thing. The next group, 6 notes, same thing. Actually, it's the same thing 4 times. So we're just kind of getting the motor on, the motor being the right hand down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So the first line, first bar, super easy as far as the fingering. 7, 9, 10, 10, 9, 7. 7, 9, 10, 10, 9, 7. Let's just stay here on that string for a little while. Try to lock your tempo to mine and start with a down, down stroke. Sorry, down, up, down, up, down, up. I can't talk and speak and play at the same time. Well, I can, but not when there's tons of cameras. But let's try that again. Pressure's on with the cameras. So that's using the first shape. If we look at the next line, we have 7, 8, 10, which is our second shape. Same exact thing. We're going to do that 4 times. Okay, so that's 2 bars. The first bar uses the first shape, and the second bar uses the second shape. There's no shifting around. The index is always on 7, and as a matter of fact, the index can stay on 7 there. You don't have to lift the index. You can just keep it there. The index is really locked in there. And then I shift my shape. The right hand always doing the same movement. And you're going to go back to the first shape. It's not super musical, but it's really good exercise for synchronization. Shifting to the second shape. Let's take a look at the next line, and the next line is going to use a very similar pattern, but this time we're using the third shape, which is 7, 9, 11. And that's a little extension here. So I'm using index, ring, pinky on 11. And let's go back to the very first question. This is a case where if you're playing with your thumb wrapped around, that might actually create more problems, more resistance problems that you might think you have. So give it a try. If you find yourself like this, try to put your thumb around. Usually the higher strings, the higher the strings, the more you want your thumb around. That's actually how I should have answered that first question, but we learn as we go. So I guess, yeah, that'll be the idea here. So 3 shapes. The first one, 7, 9, 10. That's for the first 4 bars. The second shape, which is very similar, but this time it's index, middle, pinky. And then moving on to the third shape, which is the extension. We're going to do that 4 times. And then we're going to go back to that first shape again. So we studied those different shapes and how they're played. We're going to put all that together over the metronome. And it would be handy if you had your shapes in front of you, if you could see them. We use the first shape, the second shape, and the third shape. And you see that's the extension here. So index, ring, pinky, index, middle finger, pinky, index, ring, pinky, but the pinky is doing the extension. So we're going to put all that together. So we're starting with shape 1. And first, we have a question or a comment?
Yeah, we do have a question here that actually just came up in regards to what you're talking about. This is from Zenohito. Asks, wouldn't the extension be easier if you extended the second finger instead of the fourth?
That's a great question, too. I think it's going to depend on the person. If you have not been playing for a while and you're not really used to these shapes, then try it my way, but you're very welcome to use the other shape. So the other way. So in other words, to demonstrate, we are talking about that third shape with the extension. In that particular case, from on the first string, frets 7, 9, 11, what I suggest is to use index, ring, and extension with the pinky. What you suggest is to use index, middle, pinky. both are valid options. The reason why I like to use index ring is that it keeps most of the notes, it respects the rule of one finger per fret for most of the notes. If you're playing index, middle, pinky, it really only respects one note, the index. However, if you use index ring, well, those two notes are respecting the one finger per fret. And the reason I think it's important to respect that whenever you can is that it kind of standardizes your playing, so that wherever you're playing, if you're in the habit of doing that, your fingers are going to automatically kind of take over. They're going to have their own sets of rules, and they're going to automatically place themselves easier, I think. But you're more than welcome to experiment with index, middle, pinky. Great question. So let's give that a try. Shape 1, 4 times. Shape 2, 4 times. Shape 3, 4 times. And then we'll be back on shape 1, 4 times. We're going to start this really slow. Let's give that a try with let's do 65 beats per minute. And that might be a little bit too fast, actually. But we'll try that way because it's 6 beats per minute. Or, I'm sorry, 6 notes per beat. So, first shape. Let's go slower. Sorry, I didn't realize that. A little bit faster than this. If you have a metronome home, I am at 50 beats per minute here. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Third shape. And first shape. We're going to repeat that. First shape. Second. Third. And first. Okay, let's try the same thing, but this time we're going to start on the second string, and once we're done with these 3 different shapes, so shape 1, 2, 3, and back to 1, we will move to the 3rd string, 4th string, 5th, and 6th. So we're going through all the strings, but we're going to start with the 2nd string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second shape. Third shape. And back to first. You're going to stay on the first shape, but we're going to switch strings. Second shape. Third. First. If you're lost, just try to catch up. But keep playing. Regardless of what you're doing, just always keep playing. Third shape. And back to the first. Moving to the 5th string. This is a good test of endurance. You should feel the warmth. And back to the first, we're almost done. 6th string. 2nd shape. 3rd shape. And first shape. We're almost done. Okay, great. And if it's really hard to follow these exercises real time, I'm not expecting you to follow them real time necessarily. But throughout the week, I will leave you with some exercises using these tabs. I want us together to go through them, and really the core of the work is going to be throughout the week, where you're going back through these exercises, and that's going to generate some questions which we will answer next week. But that's basically for that exercise. It kind of combined all these different shapes together. Unless we have any questions on that, we're going to move on to the next exercise. And by now you should feel a little bit warmed up. And if you feel pain, it's always okay to put your guitar down for a minute, massage, drink some water, do whatever you have to do, and come back. Whatever you do, don't turn off the video. We are on exercise 3, and I have no concept of time. How are we doing on time?
6:43.
Great. Okay. So exercise 3 is going to use these shapes again. Again, we're on 16th triplets, 6 notes per beat. The first series of notes is 7, 9, 10. So it's the first shape again. And then you see the second group of 6 notes is 6, 7, 9, which is the second shape. But instead of starting it on the 7th fret, I'm starting it on the 6th fret. So let's look at the rhythm that is going on here. On the first group of 6 notes, we have 7, 9, 10, 10, 9, 7, and then we're switching to the second shape, starting on the 6th fret. So I'm just lowering my index 1 fret below. It's really important when you're doing that shift with the index that when you're attacking the note on the 7th fret with a downstroke and attacking the 6th, that you really hear 2 distinct notes. You don't want to slide before, like that, or after. You really want to synchronize that. So take it really slow if you need to. That's for the first series of 6 notes. And then we're going back to that first shape, starting on 7, and back on the second shape. But we're ending here on the 9th fret. We're not finishing that. We're just like that. So that's for the first system, or the first bar. And then once we're there, we're going to go on the second string, do the same exact thing, but this time started with the second shape on the 6th fret. And then on the third string, you should start to see a logic there. So it's just combining the first shape with the second shape. First shape, second shape. Second shape, first shape. Second, first. Okay, let's try that with the metronome. We're going to go to maybe 60 beats per minute. Try that. Okay, so we're going to start on the first string, 7th fret with the first shape, and then move to the second shape on the 6th fret. And then we'll go through all the 6 strings. 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's try this a little bit slower. We're at 60 beats per minute. We're going to try this at 50. So we're going down slower. It's always good to vary your speeds too. Try some fast things, some slower things because I said so. All right, here we go. So mentally, you should be listening to the 6 notes Sorry, it's so hard with, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's too many cameras in front of me. I can't concentrate. Plus they're doing weird stuff in the back there. So, no, I'm joking. Very professional. Let's get started. Starting on the 7th fret. Yeah, see, I started too fast. That's the nerves that are coming. Second string. We'll try this again right straight away. I'll give you a count this time because I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second string. Just alternating the first two shapes. First shape, second shape. First, second. First, second. First, first, second. First, second, second, first. Let's go to the 5th string. 4th string. 3rd. 2nd. 1st. Great. All right, let's move on to the next exercise. The next one is going to combine the 3rd shape and the 2nd shape. So the 3rd shape, this time we're going to do more of an extension. The lower you go on the fretboard, the wider the extension. We're going to do 5, 7, 9. And I'm going to use index, ring, pinky, but you can experiment like we just talked about with index, middle, pinky if you want to. But for this, I'll do index, ring, pinky. Same exact movement here. And then once we played that first shape, we're going to slide a fret below and we're going to play the 2nd shape, which is index, middle, pinky. So that's what we have. Okay, I'm just looping that. And then once we're done with that, that first bar, we're going to repeat that, but on the 2nd string. And instead of starting with the first shape, we'll start with the 2nd shape. So I'll do it really, really slow. No metronome. Here's the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4. First shape. 2nd. First. 2nd. Switch string, 2nd string, 2nd fret. Sorry, 2nd shape. 2nd. 3rd. 3rd shape. 2nd shape. 3rd shape. 2nd shape. 2nd shape. 3rd shape. Again, try to lock your tempo with mine. Think about alternate picking. Once you're comfortable with that exercise, feel free to experiment in different areas of the fretboard. This was a kind of a stretch. If you go lower, that's even more of a stretch. But on higher frets, it's going to be a little bit easier. Because it's not as wide. Moving on to the next exercise. Feel free to interrupt anytime. The next one is we are on the 5th exercise, and we're going to use the 3rd shape and the 1st shape. So the 3rd shape, that's the extension, index, ring, pinky, or index, middle, pinky. But I recommend index, ring, pinky. And the 1st shape is index, ring, pinky again, but without that extension. So let's see what's going on. We're starting with 5, 7, 9. That's our third shape. And then on the next group of 6 notes, we have 7, 9, 10. That's the first shape, but this time we are not starting on the 5th fret, but on the 7th. So, recap. 5, 7, 9, 9, 7, 5, 7, 9, 10, 10, 9, 7. That's for the first 2 beats. Moving on to the 3rd beat, we are back to the 3rd shape, just like we started. And we're going to end with 7, 9, 10, but we're going to stay on that 10. So all together, and then moving on to the 2nd string. But we're reversing 1st shape and 3rd shape. 3rd shape, 1st. 3rd, 1st. Switching strings, 1st, 3rd. 1st, 3rd. Switching strings, 3rd, 1st. 3rd shape, 1st shape. Switch strings, 1st shape, 3rd shape. 1st shape, 3rd shape. And then you can make up your own. You can just pick a few shapes together and place them together. Regardless of scales, we're not really worried about being musical, but it's just getting comfortable with those different shapes. Just getting comfortable with all that movement. That's the basis of these exercises. And you see how these 3 shapes are recurring over and over. And I'm sure if you started memorizing some solos of your own, some songs that you might learn here on the site, you will recognize these shapes over and over. If we don't have any questions, I'm going to give you an assignment. And then you will still have opportunities to discuss things. But I want to give you your homework. And the homework is the 6th exercise here. It's tabbed out for you. It's using all those shapes, the 3 shapes. And the backing track that is provided, it's just a simple loop with a drum loop, but you can use a metronome. There are 3 different speeds. And let's take a look at these shapes. So you see that there's 6 notes per beat, just like we've been doing. And the first group of 6 notes uses 7, 9, 10. That's our first shape. The second group of 6 notes uses 6, 7, 9. That's the second shape. The third group of 6 notes uses the 3rd shape, but we're starting on the 5th fret. So we're going through these shapes. Shape 1, shape 2, shape 3. Shape 1 is index, ring, pinky. Shape 2 is index, middle, pinky. And shape 3 is the extension, index, ring, pinky. And each time we're starting one of these shapes, we're going a fret lower. So we're starting on the 7th fret with the first shape. 1 fret lower for the second shape. 1 fret lower for the 3rd shape. And let's look at the last group of notes here. On the last beat, we have 4, 5, 7, which is the 2nd shape. So first shape, 2nd shape, 3rd shape, and we're going to end with the 2nd shape. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 2 as far as the shape goes. And we're always going a fret lower. Once you're done with that, you're going to repeat it. But instead of repeating it on the 1st string, we're going to repeat it on the 2nd string, and then 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So let's take this really slow, no metronome for now, and we're going to go through these shapes. So remember, shape 1, shape 2, shape 3, and shape 2. And then we're switching strings. And each time we switch shapes, we go a fret lower. So here we go. We'll use a simple tempo like this. 2, 3, 4. First shape. 2nd shape. 3rd. 2nd shape. Switch strings. 2nd shape. 3rd shape. 2nd. 1st. 2nd. 3rd. seconds, first, second, third, and second. Almost done. First, second, third, second. First, second, third, seconds. So that's the exercise. Let's take a question.
Hey, Dave, this is kind of a request more than a question, but he wanted to know if you can demonstrate the example or demonstrate that to the backing track provided.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, thank you.
You read my mind. Let's do that. The backing track, again, is there are 3 that you can find. There's actually 1, but 3 different tempos. So let's go through these. This is a simple drum loop, and we'll start with the slowest one. So this is loop 1 for this exercise, and all the exercises you can practice them with loop 1. Loop 1 comes at 3 different tempos: a 60 beat per minute, 80, and 95. I'm going to demonstrate this at 80 beats per minute. So let's take a listen. So it's going to be our rhythm flow. Okay, so that's how it should sound. This was 80 beats per minute. You have one that is 60 beats per minute, which I won't demonstrate here because I don't have it. I tried to download everything and it did not download on my iPad, unfortunately, but next week I will be prepared. But you have a slower one, 60 beats per minute. If the 60 beats per minute is too fast still, use your metronome, and you should have a metronome.
Hey, Dave, I have one more question real quick about the homework. For the homework, would you want them practicing all the other exercises you taught too, or would you say this one exemplifies everything already
I think
taught?
this one combines everything that we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they're having trouble playing this, though, do you think they should go back and work through them 1 to 6 until they can get to this one?
Exactly.
You heard it here, folks. Now, real quick, if you had to recommend a routine for this, like how many minutes per day and how many times they should practice this, do you have any preferences?
I think I would say a minimum of 20 minutes per day if you really want to see improvements. Of really active practicing, that means no distractions, that means no playing in front of the TV, but really sitting down and analyzing your technique. Don't worry about speed, that's going to come, but really focusing on learning the exercises and synchronization, 20 minutes per day at least.
And you said that you would like them to go up 5 beats per minute between now and next week. So even if they start at 20, just make it to 25.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got it here first. Okay, that's all the questions we had right now, so you can get on with it.
Awesome. So that's the homework. And so as Jeff said, just pick a comfortable speed, a speed where you feel that it's somewhat challenging, but you can still hear all the notes cleanly. If you're playing it, that's too fast. So make sure that you pick a speed that is comfortable where you can still get a workout working on all those techniques, your own speed, and then that's going to be the starting point of your weekly improvement. And by next week, try to aim for 5 beats per minute more. So at the end of the session, when this is done, grab your metronome or try it with the slowest backing track. If the slowest backing track is too fast, grab your metronome and keep track of the tempo you're at. Write it down. That's really going to keep you accountable. And throughout the week, just work at that speed, maybe for 2-3 days at that speed that you're going to write down after the session. And then after 2-3 days, you will be more comfortable with the exercises if you work at least 20 minutes per day. In 3 days, try to increase that speed, maybe a couple beats per minute. See how that feels. It might be a little challenging, but it shouldn't be too challenging. And try to aim for 5 more by next week. If you encounter any problems, weird pain, or just a difficulty that you can't seem to overcome, write it down. We'll talk about it next week. but this week is kind of exploration of your own limits, and by the end of week 10, you will be able to compare it to where you started at. That's it for this first session. And if you have questions, I'm here. I'm going to hang out a little bit. I'm happy to take them. The room is open to talk about this.
So, guys, we're basically going to do questions until good ones evaporate. So at the point we start asking about David's hair or T-shirt, we're going to stop. There's a couple ways you can ask. One is to type out a question, and our lovely question fetcher, Jason Mounts, will read it out and get it to Allman. You also have the ability, and I think this is really cool, and I hope some of you will take advantage of it, to dial in and actually ask your question via video or audio. So, yes, Jason just got demoted. Ask your question via video or audio. So you could do this if you wanted to show us what you're doing wrong, or if you wanted to ask about a fingering, or if you just wanted to talk. You also can ask questions now that aren't 100% related to the program. So during the program, we were only answering questions about the exercise. Oh, it looks like there's one here. I'm going to pass it off to Jason so he can ask the question.
Okay. First question that came in here is from Slip and Lizard. I'm foggy on the transition. Sorry, I can't talk tonight. I'm foggy on the transition to the next string on the last exercise.
Okay. So technical difficulties maybe going on. I will go through both. As far as the fingering goes, it's the same exact thing, right? So you learn it on the first string, and then you do the same exact thing on the second. So shape 1, shape 2, shape 3. Actually, I'm playing something completely different. Sorry. That's it. That's the exercise. Shape 1, shape 2, shape 3, and shape 2. Then we're going to the second string and playing the same exact thing. Same exact frets and everything. As far as if the fogginess comes from a technical thing, that's where you need to kind of accentuate the pick slanting, which is the direction of the pick, where you are attacking when you're down, attacking the string down. You're kind of attacking towards the guitar, towards the body of the guitar, and when you're going up, it's kind of up like that, or away from the guitar. And the reason it's away is that it's in position to attack second string. And notice that last notes too. It's longer. It gives you time to reposition yourself if you're not in position. But anytime you're up striking, it should be kind of in position should be away from the guitar, ready to attack the next string. Did that clear it? I hope maybe you can leave a yes in the chat, or no, and I'll do it again. But I hope that helped. A lot of it is analyzing your fingers as you're playing, looking at what happens, and if you find that, man, I'm always missing that string, ask yourself why. It's probably a positioning thing, and if that's the case, you've got to kind of exaggerate your movement. So if I'm going down, up, I'm really going away from the string, so I'm ready to attack the next string. This is a great angle to demonstrate. I will show you with the white pick the exercise really slow, and I will exaggerate all the movements. Going away from the guitar, from the body of the guitar. Away so that I'm ready to attack the second string. Going away from the guitar. Hope that helped.
All right, we do have another general question here for you. This one is from Hot Jike. What pick thickness do you use?
This is, I don't know the exact number in millimeters, but it's pretty thick. I'm let's see, can you see this? It's kind of thick compared to a regular pick, which is pretty thin, right? It's pretty thick. If I put both side to side, see the difference? Thick picks are not better. It's just that I've played with this particular pick for a long time, and I'm just used to it. But whatever pick you have is probably a good pick. And if you're starting to feel that you're encountering problems or you're losing the pick all the time, then try other types of picks. And that's what I did basically when I tried to get a little bit more serious about practicing. I went to the store, the guitar store, and got a few picks. Get 5-6 picks, different types of picks, and just experiment. It's well worth the $5 you're going to spend on picks to just try different ones and see what you like, what you don't like. And I know you could do it in the store, but it's just different. Like if you go to the store and pick a pick and try, you're not really going to have the time to decide for yourself. You need to spend, maybe 15 minutes per pick. So I use thick picks.
All right, we do have another question. This one's from String Thumper 856. It says, this is a great exercise. Would it be more beneficial to use in a scale format? Kill two birds with one stone, so to speak.
Yeah, we will do that in the future sessions. But for this, I didn't want people to get to have two parts of the brain that are working at the same time, where one part is focusing on the right notes and the other one focusing on the technique and the synchronization. I want this to be really about synchronization. But in the future sessions, yes, we're gonna be a little bit more active and involved with actual scales. And that's why this loop 1, which is used today, is just a drum loop. So you can start these exercises anywhere. It's not going to clash with any other melodic instruments. You'll notice that from loop 2 and on, we're going to add some bass. So that should give you an indication that we're going to use some scales and more on that in the future sessions. But yeah, absolutely.
All right, we've got some more questions coming in, so we are logging them. Right now, Ed W. Doss, he asks, could you demonstrate the example on the 6th string? My pinky barely reaches when on the 3rd finger position.
Yep, definitely. So we're talking about the last exercise. I'll try to play it slow, and I'm trying to understand the problem. The pinky barely reaches on the third finger position. I'll go through it really slow. One more time. But the extension shouldn't change here, though. If you're able to do it on the 1st string, the 6th should be the same as far as the extension. But I hope that showed you something when I demonstrated that. If you feel like you need to ask more, please do.
All right, we have one more question here. This one's from Cork70. Do you have any exercises or stretches we can do away from playing to help with the 3rd position?
Yeah. Okay. I see. I now understand the previous question. Yeah, I'll make some up for you. I used to have a few, but I found that they weren't as effective as playing it on the guitar. But I think just mostly it's a mental thing where you're looking at your finger, your hand, and just visualizing the extension. If you visualize it, you're going to start to feel some trigger points in your fingers. Not necessarily do the movement, but you're going to start to feel areas of your muscles that should be involved when you're playing that stretch. So you look at your hand, and you tell your index to move. it's moving, right? But just before it moves, you kind of feel something happening in that area, right? You do the same with all the other fingers, and as soon as you start, feeling something, then you kind of helped make that connection between the commanding part of your brain and the executive part of your fingers. But, I could tell you to do things like that, stretch like that and stuff. I don't know if it really helps. I think the best way is just to have your guitar in your hand. If the extension is too hard, try to really use your thumb in the back as an anchor. Oops, there we go. Try to use it as an anchor here so that you can kind of extend your wrist around. Now that means that your fingers are not going to be as flat as I described in the beginning. To mute these strings, they might be a little bit more straight, but that's okay, and that might help with the extension. The thumb is really kind of going to direct your extensions. The best way is really to do it on the guitar, of course, but I'm sorry, that is a crappy answer. I hope that helped.
We will be back with a question in just a sec. Sorry, we were trying to respond to some people who were having trouble with the PDFs. It looks like the PDF download is just the position, so that's the image of the positions he taught. For the images, if for some reason you aren't able to see the whole exercise, like the chromatic engine, shape shift, single fret switch, click on it, and then right-click or whatever is the equivalent on your computer on the actual tablature, and then do save image as, and you can save that image to your computer, and you can either print it out or view it in your Paint or image viewer or whatever you use. It looks like in certain browsers the scroll bar for some reason isn't showing up on those, so saving it to your computer will be the best. We will pass this on to the developers before the next chat. So yeah. Any other questions, my friends?
This was a lot of fun, everyone. I'm glad you showed up.
We're glad you showed up.
Thank you.
All right. Since this isn't a question, I'm just going to read it off right out of the chat. Zenohito says, may I be rude enough to suggest starting on higher frets, so they're smaller extensions, and just posting the position and relaxing, then move down a fret and continue until you can't relax, and try again tomorrow. Yeah,
great suggestion. Thanks for having it. Absolutely.
Cool. I think that's probably a good suggestion for anyone practicing it too. If you can't play it, just work up the neck a little bit.
Yep. Especially with these exercises, they're not locked to a scale. So really, I just kind of randomized a little bit the starting points because I want people to just be comfortable with areas that they're not necessarily used to. But yeah, definitely higher on the fretboard is a good way to get used to that technique for sure.
All right, guys, we don't have any questions left, so you have maybe 2 minutes to put one in. Otherwise, we are going to let Jason and David Wallman get home and have some dinner. If you do have a few more questions, we'd be happy to take them. So we're here for you. And just as a reminder, we will be back next week doing the boot camp. We will have new exercises, and just a reminder, he wants you to practice exercise 6 and make your goal to gain 5 beats per minute over that week. Even if you start at 1 beat per minute, get up to 6. 72 Gold Top says Dave is a great teacher. So
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
you've
so
got some
much.
fans in here.
Thanks.
We can instead of questions, we can also just stroke your ego a little bit if
of course. Like. Please do, by all means.
Like I think you're very handsome. I think you're a great guitar player.
Thank you. It was great.
String Thumper says it was an awesome session. JP and David, thank you. EDW Dose says he looks forward to the next one. So we're going to do a 1-minute countdown for questions, folks. If you have a question or if you want to dial in live. I mean, guys, this is like a great opportunity. If you have any questions, you can ask it via voice. No confusion. Get an immediate response. So, and if you don't want to do it because it's intimidating, I understand.
I do too.
All right, we're getting a lot of compliments, which is very, very nice to see from Slippin' Lizard and Hot Jike. Yeah, guys. I mean, this is our first real workshop like this, where we're using live stream instead of Bitgravity. And Kea Merrill, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Jason will post a link in the chat. Basically, you have to click that link in Chrome, and it will ask you for permission to use your webcam, and that's all you do. Then I will pop you on, and you can ask him a question. But we only got another minute or two, unless somebody asks a question. So. Is anybody going to ask a live question before we hang up? If not, we will go. Yeah, Slippin' Lizard, only one who asked a question. That's okay. Now you get to feel really good the whole week about your bravery.
Yeah, congrats. It was great.
Yeah.
did you win a guitar? Was that the?
Maybe yours.
Oh,
we don't have. Actually, we do have a first act guitar here in the studio. So, Hot Jike wants to know what the model of that guitar is. It's obviously an Ibanez, but
it's an Ibanez. It's an RG. I've got to check. It's a premium, and I'm asked this all the time.
It's very good looking.
I think it's a 970. I want to say, or a 720. There's a 7 in there, and there's a 2.
Okay. Well,
I'll find out for next session, and I'll tell you.
It's a little bit of a scavenger hunt. All right, folks.
Yeah.
10 seconds. If we don't have a question in 10 seconds, we're logging out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I won't count the whole way. All right. Take care, my friends. Enjoy. Give your props to Jason behind the scenes as usual, not getting all the credit. Mm-hmm. And practice before next week, guys. This course is you get in what you put out of it, and the goal is to have your technique get out of the way so you can play what's in your heart.
Isn't
that right? All right.
That's what it's all about.
Well, good night, folks.
Good night, everyone. Thanks so much.
And we will see you on the flip side.
See you next week.